Hello and welcome to this CDO interview series. My name is Eleanor Treharne Jones and I'm the CEO of Kensu, and I'm delighted to be speaking today with Salema Rice. Salema Rice is the Chief Executive Officer of CDO Today and also a 25-year tenured Chief Data and Analytics Officer with previous roles as a partner at Accenture, at Bain Capital and Allegis Group in an impressive career spanning multiple industries. Salema, thank you.
Thank you, Eleanor. Happy to be here today.
How would you define data observability? There's many things people include in the category, exclude. How would you define it?
Well, I kind of think of data observability today as, well, first of all, it used to take us, what used to take us probably 72 hours, several days, maybe even sometimes several weeks in order to do can be done in a matter of seconds now, right? And because I see data observability as really having kind of an inside out look at our data. So things that we used to have to get from, logs, from metrics, from our data catalog, kind of being able to go out there and almost like in near real time, be able to scope through all of it and tell the story of, in advance. I remember, so many years ago, the reports would go out or to the regulators and then, come back, right? Like, this is an error, right? And I'm like, of all reports, you definitely don't want your regulatory reports. I mean, I remember, companies that I worked with specifically that, failed a data exam because of this factor, right? So if we'd have had those types of things in place, which they didn't exist, but, we often tried to do those things manually, but it takes a lot to be able to gather the log files and to be able to run, we used to build queries to run against the log files, to run against the metrics, to run against the ETL. And, and when you switch from, both ETL to ELT, or, any kind of variation where you're ingesting, today we're ingesting any kind of data from anywhere in any format, right? I mean, it's very different than when we were just doing sort of the data. So the complexity is so much greater than it ever was. And I just don't see any way that manually you could observe and to be proactive, not reactive in your processes. And to me, that's really the biggest value that you get from having observability.
As companies start to think about how they roll this out, how they implement both the tools, the processes to support a data observability strategy, you've mentioned a few of them, but what are the touch points? Where are you focused on data at rest? Data in motion? Is it more holistic? What would you see as the core components as a company implemented data observability?
Well, I think obviously we touched on some of them. Instead of waiting, from in the ETL logic, I think instead of waiting until it's too late, I think looking at it from the data catalog itself, and then understanding really the criticality of that data. I think looking at the master data, looking at any type of near real-time or real-time logs that other systems have more challenges in doing. A lot of our, I hate using the word big data, but data that's in larger volume, right? Because we're just capturing more data. I used to feel like big data is just a big sandbox, is what I used to think. But I think that for the human eye and all of the things that we used to put in place, the top three for me would have, if I could have had it when I was a chief data officer, I would be looking at really around, are we cataloging the data correctly? Are we capturing it in a proactive way? Similarly with our ETL processes or our mastering of the data, are we getting it while it's coming in and before it actually gets to our ERP systems? Like, those are, to me, the touch points that will help us get greater data quality results at a faster speed than we could have in the past.
Yeah, finally being able to be on the front foot as a chief data officer and proactive in identifying things. As you said, you never want to send the report to the regulator and them identify the errors. I love that as an analogy. Salema, thank you so much for talking to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'm sure there's so much more that we could have covered. For more interviews like this, please do go to cdomagazine.tech, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.